Alright, so we're here with some Halo Master Chief Collection, Reach Firefight. I have it to where I can't die, I have unlimited ammo, all that stuff, because I want to be focused on what I'm doing. So today we're going to be talking about my thoughts on the Halo Reach, or Halo TV show from Paramount Plus, the Halo series, whatever you want to call it. And before any of you go thinking, oh, you haven't seen it, so how can you judge it? I have seen it. I've seen both episodes. So I know what I'm talking about with it. And I have to say, I don't know what the hell went in people's minds that were making this show when they decided to make it. Because how you can call it Halo when it isn't Halo is just beyond me. It really is. It is beyond my comprehension how you can call this a Halo game. Sure, I'll take this. So, talk about it, we have to go to everything wrong with it, which is practically everything with the damn show. So, where do I start? Well, how about the first episode? Now, I will give credit where credit is due to some things. There are some parts of the show and the episodes that look good. Some. Hardly any of it looks good. But the first problem is it starts with like the very first damn scene where it's Madrigal in 2552. Madrigal in 2552. If you know anything about Halo lore, you would know that Madrigal was glassed and destroyed in 2528, 3 years after Harvest, because Madrigal was one of the closer colonies to Harvest. So there should not be any people there. And of course, they also have to have this bullshit, you know, political stuff where it's like, oh, humans, insurrectionists and everything. It's like, okay, you do realize you're at war with a genocidal alien empire that wants nothing more than the complete and utter annihilation of all humankind. Of course, maybe not. If you know what I'm talking about, then you know that that may not even be the case. But whatever, is what it is. So basically, we have this insurrectionist chick, what's her name, Kwan or something, and she takes a bunch of her friends. They start doing drugs, except for her, and then they find out that the Covenant is attacking. I will say the only part of this whole shebang that I really enjoy is the gore. Is Spock freaking on? I love it. I love it to bits, pun intended, because you know that's how brutal a Covenant should be. And seeing humans getting like blown apart, seeing like heads exploding and all that is is really cool because it fits Halo. What doesn't fit Halo is pretty much like everything else. Okay. And by that I mean, for some reason, also on Madrigal, there is a Forerunner relic, which there never was a Forerunner relic on Madrigal, or, spoilers, the planet wouldn't have been glassed in 2528. But it was, because there was nothing there. There was nothing of importance to the Covenant's religion. So they had no reason to not attack it indiscriminately. So the Covenant starts attacking the insurrectionist outpost. People start getting killed. And, I will say the action part seemed pretty cool. There were some cool moments. I won't lie. I will say, I will give credit where credit is due. There are parts of the show that are freaking awesome. Like some of the weapons sound like how they should. The old classic, you know, the way the sound for the shield recharge is there, how it should be. So that's there at least. So that's always cool. I mean, there's just so much of it that's just dead wrong. And, after enough people start dying, then Master Chief comes in. And then this fucking idiot, like, I guess the insurrectionist leader on Madrigal, in his brilliant 9,000 IQ brain, decides, oh yeah, I'm just going to try and kill Spartan that's landed and try and kill him and shoot him instead of, a freaking elite that was just behind him that just got done massacring, like, I don't know, 20 freaking civilians. But hey, Master Chief, which has done nothing at this point, that's the bigger threat, not the freaking genocidal aliens that are attacking and killing you. Priorities, right? I have no words for that. So it's just like so damn stupid. So anyway, that happens. And, he decides, oh yeah, I'm just gonna freaking go after, the Master Chief, who has done nothing to us right now. And that'll be what I do. I'll just go after him. I'll try and shoot him with my AK-47, a 500-year-old rifle that's somehow still relevant. Contrary to popular belief, the insurrectionists had access to old UNSC gear. They had access to the old, like, MA5B rifles, which we don't know what that is for the uninitiated. The MA5B is the rifle from Combat Evolved that had, 60-round magazine and was notoriously inaccurate at range. So insurrectionists did have access to those kinds of weapons. They had access to old UNSC gear. They had access to weapons. So to see them using freaking K-47s is borderline insulting. But I digress. I'm not a filmmaker. I'm not a writer. I'm only a, massive fan of the Halo franchise since 2006. What do I know? So anyway, they also have like there's also the memes of the Chevy Tahoe, which is present there. Another thing that pisses me off is some of the CGI is cool, but it makes there's one point of it where it makes no sense. There's a part where one of the elites slams into the driver's side of the vehicle and flips towards the elite, which is, not how physics works. Should be pushed away from where the elite hit it, towards. Unless I just don't know anything about physics. But I digress again. So anyway, the Spartans come down, they start wrecking shit, and uh, Juan's father decides his infinite wisdom to go after Chief instead of the murderous aliens. And then, after a bit, this same guy decides in his infinite wisdom as well to charge one of the elites without shooting at him, mind you. And then, obviously, shockingly, he gets caught and killed by the energy sword that the elite was carrying. Which, by the way, not every single elite carried energy swords. Not every single one carried them, especially not miners, elite miners. They don't. Their rank does not denote carrying the energy sword. Only certain ones do. But again, I digress. What do I know? So anyway, after he's dead, because obviously he has to die, in order for us to try and connect with the insurrectionist woman, which, surprise, surprise, does not work. I really give less than two shits about her. And then suddenly, Chief ends up at this, cave, and then you find a Forerunner artifact of some kind that Chief manages to activate by touching it, which he shouldn't have been doing to begin with. And ends up like triggering some kind of like memories from his childhood for some reason. And just, it makes no damn sense at all. But whatever. So anyway, he triggers that, and then there's an elite that's there that witnesses the whole thing. He uses camo, leaves, just books it out of there. I will say there are some things I like, like the sound of the camo, the sound of the shield recharging is true to Halo, so at least there's that. But anyway, so Chief decides to take Quan with him and go back to Reach in the Condor, and the other members of Silver Team, because teams are named after metals now, not colors like gold team or blue team or red team, but whatever. We're gonna have freaking platinum team next. Anyway, so they both start to go to Reach, and for some reason the Phantom gets there first. And then we start getting into the more controversial parts. Apparently, in their infinite wisdom, they decide, hey, Captain Keyes and his daughter? Yeah, what if we made them black? Why? Reasons. And it's like, why? What reason would you possibly have? Oh, I know. Diversity. And that's just, there's no real reason for it other than just to tick a bookmark and to earn brownie points for social justice warriors. That's the only reason that they did it. There's no story elements or anything or any plot element that's changed because of their skin colors. So it's literally only done for brownie points for the SJWs. And, whatever. You do you, I guess. So anyway, we see this, we see Halsey, and then I'll admit it's kind of cool, we see Paragonsky, because she's like the one in charge of Oni. I believe she's like in charge of Oni Section 3, which is like the really scary part of Oni. And a lot of crap happens. We start hearing about like Cortana and everything, and apparently Halsey has a clone of herself, which will become Cortana, even though that's not how it works. What it was flash cloned brain, Dr. Halsey, became Cortana, but whatever. Again, what do I know? I'm just the one that's been a fan of Halo since 2006. I don't know anything, apparently. So it's just insane. And on the Condor, Chief tries to like talk with Quan and tries to like get her to open up or whatever. And we learn that Chief murdered her mother. Who cares? Oh well, get over it. She was a terrorist and insurrectionist. So who cares? And while they're doing this, we end up seeing Chief receiving an order to kill her, which, good. She's a terrorist. She's an insurrectionist. She is the enemy. She needs to die. But of course, Chief, in his infinite wisdom, decides, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And then, some reason, Halsey is able to remotely control the Condor, lowers the oxygen, then also remotely lowers the oxygen in Chief's suit, but then he manages to somehow MacGuffin his way through it and gets the oxygen flowing again. Then Quan decides, in her infinite wisdom, to have a battle rifle aimed at the Master Chief. Like that's gonna do anything. He has power armor and shields. One battle rifle burst is gonna do jack and shit. Then again, Chief, in his ever infinite wisdom, decides, hey, I'm going to take off my helmet in the first episode in order to have this random woman who is the enemy trust me. And he does it. It's like just one of the most sacrilegious things you could do in a Halo show is give the Master Chief a face. Because the whole point of it is he doesn't have a face. He is a blank slate. He's a blank slate for the player to insert into. It's a self-insert. That's how it's always been. In the 343 games, decided to start giving him more character. So anyway, he takes off his helmet in his infinite wisdom, and then the Condor is on its way back to Reach, and then we start hearing about other things where I will say what really pisses me off more is that there are parts of lore that they use this Halo lore, like they talk about the Sauron protocol. Okay, that makes sense because Sauron was a Spartan who, and if you don't know who Sauron is, basically he was a Spartan who was misfigured by the augmentations, and he was resigned to test duty and relegated to not serving a combat role. During that time, he was fed insurrectionist propaganda by someone there, and instead of reporting him, Soren took to that propaganda, and then him and the man that was talking to him, they both escaped. They stole a ship and then booked it out of there and caused trouble. And ended up crashing in a forest, and there was a search party, including Mendez, who was basically the one that was like heavily training the Spartans. Stop hiding. Seriously. Anyway, and he was leading a search party, and Halsey was like, "No, don't bother. Just list him as MIA. He knows forests better than anyone. You'll never find him." And that was it. That was the end of it. So it makes sense that they have a protocol for him for that kind of situation. Then they just ignore a lot of other things in lore. So anyway, the Pelicans coming in, and another thing that also is cool is that we have a moment where we have Halsey talking to the other members of Blue Team, and it's like, need to protect Don, need to protect Master Chief. And one of the Spartans is like, so we're killing friendlies now. And then one of them has a cool line where he's like, they're going after Chief, they're not friendlies, right, Doctor? And that's freaking cool because that is 100% how Spartans are in lore. They have an unshakable brotherhood. They have known each other for decades, and that is something that would never be broken. So it makes sense that they would act like this. So anyway, they hit the Condor with an EMP. Chief crashes. Wow, cool, I don't care. Anyway, Chief crashes, and they don't have any power in the ship. and then they start sending all the Marines out there, and no ODSTs because reasons. So anyway, they start sending all the Marines out there. And I will admit, it does kind of look cool. Like they have, the Marines, their gear, their weapons, the Warthogs. It looks cool, but you can't get past the crap in it. You just can't. So anyway, the Marines are putting bombs on the Condor. They're ready to start breaching in to take out Master Chief. And the entire time this is going on, Chief has his helmet off. So he's just standing there in the glass in full view of everyone with his helmet off, because that makes sense. So anyway, they're standing there, they're getting ready to do their things, and then Chief decides, oh, you know what? I'm going to touch this Forerunner artifact again. And then, for some ungodly reason, sends out an EMP, also manages to restore power to the Condor. So it restores power and takes power. So what happened? Did it absorb the power from the facility and transfer it to the Condor, or what? We're not explained. It's just one big Deus Ex Machina MacGuffin to, it's a shitty plot device, basically. So anyway, that happens. Condor has power, and fly off. And that's it. That's the end of the episode. There's nothing good, really, in that episode except for, like, some action pieces. And to talk about the second episode, it's filler. It really is. The second episode is filler. Nothing happens of real note. So basically, the second episode, there's like a flashback of Chief and Sauron, and somehow Sauron manages to escape with his armor, which makes zero sense because their armor has trackers and all these other things to make sure they're never lost or misplaced. And, Sauron tries to convince Chief to go with him. It doesn't work. Sauron leaves anyway. And then Chief goes to a place called the Rubble, which again shows that they know at least something about Halo lore, because the Rubble is a real place. And for the Rubble, for those of you that may not know, is a place where human survivors were after a planet was glassed, and it harbored a lot of insurrectionist people. And it got to the point where even people on board the station were trading with Kigyar, the Jackals. And their hopes were they could use that to potentially work with some kind of peace with the Covenant, but instead, the Jackals were treated as heretics, and they were all eliminated, and then the Rebel was also eliminated, but people that managed to survive that were taken somewhere else. I think it was like Project Exodus or something like that, is what it was called in Legends, or in lore. So anyway, he arrives at the Rebel. Sauron is there. He's like the leader of the Rebel for some reason. And it's all basically just about random bullshit. We don't really learn anything. And, it's just insane. So they're on the Rebel. Chief reunites with Sauron again, and then Chief meets Sauron's wife and child, even though in Halo lore, Spartans are unable to have children. They were engineered that way. Then we learn about, I didn't even bring this up in the first episode. So apparently, the Covenant, the genocidal alien race that despises all humankind, has a human woman with them that they raised, or that Mercy raised. And it's like, why? It makes no sense. But whatever. So anyway, that happened, and apparently she and Chief are part of humanity known as the Blessed Ones, which are the few of humans that can use Forerunner technology, instead of in actual lore where every single human being can use Forerunner technology. Every single human being in Halo lore can use Forerunner technology because they are the descendants of the Forerunners. They have the Forerunner gene. That is something that has been established well into Halo. But apparently now they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna change that for reasons, for unknown reasons. It is, and so apparently Chief is one of these quote blessed ones, and so is the woman that the Covenant have, because of course she is. It's some kind of MacGuffin that explains, why she's even there, which makes no damn sense whatsoever.
Bonus round over. Lives added. Weapon drop.
So I don't know. It blows my mind.
Set start.
So with that, you have a series that just completely ignores everything about Halo. So you have these quote blessed ones, and then she starts learning more about these blessed ones. Apparently, he is one, and then nothing really happens. I mean, Chief meets Sauron'S wife and son. More stuff happens on Reach that's not really important or of note. And then it ends with Chief deciding, oh yeah, I'm going to turn myself into the UNSC. And then that's what he does. And then that's pretty much the end of the episode. It's just one big filler episode where nothing happens. I really have no words for how shit this has been. I mean, you have planets that are there that are supposed to be glassed away. You have new people, you have race swapped people, you have story plots that make no sense, you have pure sacrilege to what Halo is about. And a lot of CGI is complete shit. It does not look like a show where it's $10 million per episode. It doesn't. It does not feel like that. It feels like it's a show that had $1 million spent on it, and the rest of the 9 million was divided up between the freaking director and writers and storyboard people and all that shit to pocket in their own money. It really feels like that. It does not feel like $10 million was spent on that episode. If it was, I would love to know how. I really would. But it's just the only reason why I watched it was I watched it with friends in Discord, and we mostly just watched it to take the piss out of it, and we're going to be doing that this Thursday too. I'm not going to be doing another video on the show at all because there's no point. Nothing's going to change. It's going to continue being shit. There's still going to be plot points that make no damn sense. There's still going to be continuous sacrilege to the very nature of what Halo is as a game and a franchise and a universe. And it just blows my mind how in the credits it's like, oh, based on the Halo video game universe. Yeah, my ass. The fact that the people in charge of writing literally admitted they had never seen, played, read, or anything involving Halo, I knew from then it was going to be a complete shit show. Not this bad. I didn't think it was going to be this bad. I thought there would at least be like maybe somebody that would know something about what to do, but it doesn't seem like it. There's some bits and pieces that seem cool, that have interesting lore, but the overwhelming majority of it is just complete and utter nonsense. And the people that made it should be absolutely ashamed. So if you're watching this and you've been considering watching it or getting Paramount Plus to see it, don't waste your money on it. Don't waste your money on Paramount Plus. Don't give the Halo series your viewership. It doesn't deserve it. It's simple. And if you know people that are Halo fans, tell them to not watch it. Spread it as far as you can. Because this shit cannot stand. It really can't. As long as people continue to watch this and give it their viewership and their money, they'll continue to know that they can get away with it. You know? And it pisses me off even more that Microsoft is just like, oh yeah, the franchise we were put in charge of by Bungie that they built over the course of, 10 years and many games, we are now unilaterally destroying it. And, you know, 343 is destroying it. So I hope they're happy. I hope Microsoft and 343 is happy that they are completely destroying Halo. And it also plays into Halo Infinite. If Microsoft and 343 are willing to let a third party that they have no real control over drag Halo through the dirt like this, what are they going to do with a game that they do have direct control over? Because right now with Halo Infinite, they're not proving that they can handle it. There is hardly any content. The campaign is spotty and crappy. It's a pseudo open world, and the multiplayer has no real content, no real features, no real maps, loaded with outrageous microtransactions. Halo has been something that I have loved for, 16 years now. And now I'm starting to wonder if it's ever going to recover because I don't think it will. I don't think Halo can ever recover from this. I don't even think it's recovered from Halo 5. You know, even Halo 4, it didn't really fully recover from. You know, 343 has proven that they cannot handle ownership of this franchise. I wish I had enough money to just buy Halo from these people and change these things. Scrap the trilogy that they have, declare it non canon, and make different games. You know, make a TV show based on the actual games and the franchise. It's insane how in 2007 we got the Landfall trailer where it was basically just like, test shots of a Halo movie from Neil Blomkamp, and that became the Landfall trailer. That trailer and the We Are ODST trailer has 1,000 times better CGI than the Halo TV show from 2007 and 2009. Okay, over a decade ago, and that has better CGI that still holds up. Go watch it. Go watch the Landfall trailer. Go watch We Are ODST. That CGI still holds up even today, 100%. But the CGI in the Halo show, it's brand new, quote unquote, and it doesn't hold up. I just, I'm so upset that Halo has become a shell of its former self. It should have died after, it should have just, they should not have focused on sequels. They should have focused on other things, spin offs and stuff like that, you know? But no, they just had to keep pushing it. They just had to keep pushing what they could get away with, and just had to keep squeezing that stone of its blood. That's all they. Microsoft and 343, all Halo is to these companies is money. It's a cash cow, and we are the livestock. You know, it is a cash crop, and we are the livestock giving them the money. That really makes no fucking sense. But it's just I really can't put it into words because I'm so just flabbergasted and furious. All Halo is just it's just one big money making machine. You know, money keeps going into it. Money keeps going, from the consumers into the game. But the money never goes directly into the game. They don't add new game modes. They don't add new maps. They don't add anything. They don't add weapons from previous Halo games. The Covenant Carbine, the Brute Shot, Needle Rifle, Focus Rifle, you know, I mean, all these things that they could have that they just don't. And there's hardly any game modes in it. I mean, where's Oddball? Where's Oddball? Where's Infection, Territories, Regicide, Dominion, Extraction, Ricochet, Headhunter, Stockpile, Assault, you know, Arena? We don't see any of that. We won't see that for months. They've even admitted that four-player co-op over Xbox Live will be delayed past the release of season two, and Forge will be coming months after. We probably won't see Forge until season three in like late this year, which is basically going to be a year post launch. We won't have Forge. Meanwhile, Halo 3 released with Forge, Halo Reach released with Forge, Halo 4 released with Forge, MCC released with the Forges. Halo 5 didn't, and now Halo Infinite won't. They have not learned anything from the failures of Halo 5. In fact, it's just made them emboldened to see what they can get away with even more. The microtransactions, the lag. I mean, the thing is, at least Halo 5 had a fucking roadmap. It had a roadmap for what was going to come. You know? There's no roadmap for Infinite, so we don't know what's going to be coming in the near future. We have nothing. We just have to hope that 343 tells us, instead of 343 saying, hey, here's a roadmap of what's coming in the future at this part in time, in this date and time, so you have something to look forward to. No, it's like, yeah, we're just going to wing it. It comes out when it comes out. That's it. We're not going to tell you anything at all. So, I don't know. I'm repeating myself. I'm going to freaking stop before I freaking give myself a damn aneurysm. And yeah, so long story short, Halo TV show is complete shit. Don't watch it. Don't give it your viewership. And the thing is, like, people can't even make honest reviews of it anymore. You know, I know someone on Discord, Cast in the Shadows, who was doing like a podcast thing about Halo, the TV show, but because he included small parts of the show, it got copyright struck. And the same thing with Angry Joe on YouTube. The same thing happened with his videos. And I've seen other people that talk about the Halo series and they use clips that they have to edit in order to avoid copyright. That's why with this, I'm not using any clips or anything. I'm just using game footage. So you can't copyright that. So whatever. Anyway, that's it for me. I'm stressing myself out, and I'll see you guys next time.